Hello explorers and welcome to episode 50. In this episode we're going to be joined by a special guest who featured in Empire Strikes Back. And make sure you're listening in to the details about how you can win a big giveaway for all the thanks and support of us reaching our milestone of 500 followers. Stay tuned and listen out. Hello explorers and welcome to episode 50. As always, joining me this week is my good friend whose wisdom rivals that of Master Yoda. It's Jimmy.
Howdy.
Plus, when she's not slaying rancors and planting Drengari, it's the blue-haired Ewok herself. It's Taylor.
Hello there.
We'll start with you this week, Taylor. I know some people have missed you. How have you been?
Oh my goodness. I've had such a busy couple of weeks. I got promoted to head of maintenance department, which is pretty much
Nice.
the appearance of the zoo. So I am now the eyes on the ground and, I'm the boss. Not really. But yeah, and then also this week, you'll get a laugh out of this one. So I've been sending YouTube pictures of my Jedi cosplay that I'm working on for Star Wars Celebration because I'm starting it now. And somebody at my work brought me this.
Oh wow!
To put my cosplay
Brought you a human body.
And anyway, so that's gonna help me with my cosplay. So yeah, it's been a good 2 weeks.
Awesome. What about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, been busy. You know, like we said, Star Wars has actually slowed down a little bit for us this past week. But swimming and school and everything like that, kind of ramping up in that last month push. We got our 2 exchange students that are seniors, so we're getting all that stuff ready for them. But yeah, and then just little dribbits of information coming out about the Acolyte and getting ready for May the 4th trivia. And I just got accepted into the Oklahoma City's Galaxy Con. We'll be putting on a Star Wars trivia event there
Nice.
Saturday night. So I'm pretty excited to get down there. And some people I've met online, and a couple of podcasters and YouTubers down there that I'm going to try to link up with. So I'm pretty excited. It's been a good week.
Befriend. Awesome.
How about you, Jack? You've been gallivanting around?
Yeah, I've been travelling again. This time I went to Barcelona with the wife. However, unfortunately for her, one of the friends that we went with spotted a Star Wars shop. So, in the space of an hour, I ended up going back to the Star Wars shop 3 times.
Nice.
And finally got some merchandise from there, but I'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, not been doing too much. Just chillaxing. Got back from Barcelona on the Saturday and then had a nice chilled one ready for going back to work next week. So, as always on the show, we've got a bunch of new explorers. As always, thank you so much to everyone that's joining. Jimmy, who are the new explorers that are joining us?
All right, it's my best effort here. We've got David Brittany, Stephen Robb, Rich Pepperell, Thomas Zusko, and Lee Astill. So welcome to Explore the Force, folks.
Welcome
Yeah,
aboard.
thank you as always to everyone who's recently joined us on Facebook and Instagram. As always, feel free to post any Star Wars content you want. And as always, we have now reached 500 over on our Instagram. Stay tuned for more, as we are going to be doing a big giveaway to one random lucky person. So again, a massive thank you to everyone that has joined. If you're new listening today, please search Explore the Force on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Threads. Find us there. Come on over, join the family. The community is growing rapidly. The name is growing rapidly. And we hope to see you and meet you at future conventions and hopefully Star Wars Celebration Japan. Tickets depending. Okay, so this week then we're going to head over and see what Force encounters we've got for you. Okay, so for this week's Force Encounters, then I managed to finish Defy the Storm finally, whilst on the plane to Barcelona, and that gave me a chance to move over and start the Living Force, I think it was called, sorry, by John Jackson Miller. So I'm looking forward to starting that bad boy. I know Jimmy started reading it. And like I mentioned earlier, we managed to come across a Star Wars shop in Barcelona. So now we've got some Spanish people within the group and links as well. I left them with our details. They were going to be passed them out to customers as well. So thank you to the guys there. The Comics Contraro, I think I pronounced it completely wrong, but they know who they are and I know they're going to be listening to that. So again, thank you very much, or gracias, as they say in Spain. And while there, they had a massive collection of Star Wars vintage, Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi, some really old school toys. Unfortunately for me, unfortunately for my wife, we only had one backpack, so I could only fit in two little Phantom Menace figures, which was a destroyer droid, which had been battle damaged, and also a pilot figure that I managed to snag for a nice little Cush D prize. What about you, Taylor? Any Force Encounters?
Yeah, actually, at the zoo, I'm actually working on we're gonna do like a social media post, but it's gonna be aimed for May the 4th. So we're gonna do something with some Star Wars stuff at the zoo, but I don't want to give it away yet because we haven't actually filmed it yet. So, but I'm planning it out and it's gonna be super fun. So keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. What about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, so I got to meet another content creator crafting on Elam. You should check out her Instagram page, Tiara. She's actually just
Yeah.
down a few hours south of me in Texas. We got to review the latest episode of the Bad Batch together. She was really fun to get to talk to. She had great energy, and it's always fun, like we say a lot of times, getting to meet all these new people has been like the best part. And we're closing in on a year, and our friend circle and Star Wars circle has grown and grown and grown, and
Yeah.
that's been pretty
Yes.
cool. So,
Isn't that
and then just
awesome?
getting in as much of the Living Force as I can. So, off and on, still haven't had a lot of time downtime to just sit and like devote
Yeah.
to it. So, but
You got to
those are
get
the kind of
yourself
what I'm
good and
focused on, and
sick.
getting, yeah, and getting ready for trivia. So, and then we're ready for the May the 4th event from the Humane Society. And then also now getting ready for Oklahoma City on May 25th to 26th, I think. So
Mm.
it's exciting. Good things are happening here at Explore the Force.
Awesome. So make sure you stay tuned as always. Let's head over to Batu then and see what news we've got coming out of there. Okay, so like I mentioned then, as a massive thank you from myself, Jimmy and Taylor for all the support and help, we are going to be doing a surprise giveaway which any collector will be happy to win. So, how do I get this? How do I win this? I hear you ask. What you need to do is listen to next week's episode and message to us over on Instagram or Facebook with how many times you hear the word pilot. So you're listening for the word pilot. The winner will be randomly selected and will be notified before May the 12th. Like I said, it's a big prize. Any Star Wars collector will be very, very happy with this. And like I said, you've got until May the 12th, giving you more than enough time to listen out for that keyword, pilot.
All right, more May the 4th Star Wars merch revealed this week, with Tatooine backpack being revealed by Will Gate, plus much more exciting stuff like hats, shirts being previewed. Also over at Box Lunch, there were 2 pins released of C-3PO and Queen Amidala, as shown, were being shown off.
Yeah, grab your pins. I know there's lots of pin collectors out there. May the 4th is vastly approaching, so the merchandise is coming thick and fast. Also on Fortnite, there's some new Star Wars skins that are being leaked and also revealed at the same time, due out on May the 3rd and 4th. I think it's Chewbacca, Princess Leia, a Stormtrooper. I think that's already on there though. And I know they're doing some sort of Star Wars event. So any Fortnite fans, keep your eyes peeled on that. What else we got, Taylor?
Nice. Amanda Stenberg, who plays May in The Acolyte, has spoken to Total Film, and she mentioned that this is the prequel to the prequels. So head on over to Total Film to read the full article and interview there. Ooh. I'm loving how we're
There's
getting all
a
these
lot.
little bits and tidbits from the Acolyte. Like, this
Yeah.
is what we needed. This is what we need. We need these little bits of advertisement and stuff. So, it's just getting me more and more excited. And I hope more people are converting from the dark side of disliking it, because it's going to be awesome.
I don't know how you can dislike something before you've even seen it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree with you, Taylor. There's a lot of little things coming out. We'll have another little Jackie short coming out with some things that she's talked about, Daphne Keene. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, our last bit of news is kind of a bummer, or is a bummer, not kind of a bummer. But Samantha Davis, the late wife of Warwick Davis, has passed away earlier this week. And all of us at Explore the Forest send our condolences over to the family.
Oh.
So I believe that she was at Celebration, because like the whole family was there,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And it's weird for me, having seen these people and things like that, and then just to think about them being gone. So our whole family's out. Our whole hearts go out to the Davis family, and we hope that they can, find the peace that they need.
Okay, so joining us today, we have an extra special guest who is well known for being in The Empire Strikes Back and is also disliked, especially by Han Solo fans. More on that later. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us this week is the incredibly talented Alan Austen. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thank you very much. We super appreciate you taking your time to join us on the podcast today. Obviously, the first thing we need to clear up, because I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking, why would people dislike such a nice guy like yourself? So, if it's okay with yourself, Alan, just mention who you are to the fans and what's so special about the part you had to play in terms of getting rid of Han Solo in The Empire Strikes Back.
Well, my name is Alan Austen, and I'm fortunate enough to be one of the stormtroopers that put Harrison Ford into the carbonator.
Oh no!
Awesome.
To do it, to be quite honest, it's myself and John Mogridge, and we'd been working on the film for several months, and we built up quite a rapport with Harrison. And we both remember that on the set of the Carbonator on Cloud City, that Irving Kershner, Harrison, Roy Button, who was a second assistant director, and they went into a huddle.
Yeah.
And Roy came over to us and said, "Look, got this special scene to do. We've decided it's you two. Get on with it and don't mess it up."
Awesome. Love it. You spoke a little bit then. You spoke a little bit then about building a rapport with Harrison Ford. So how did you go about building that rapport? Was it just a case of just chatting casually to him, or?
Well, on Echo Base, on the scenes on Echo Base in the the tunnels, the snow tunnels, I was sort of crouched against the wall, sort of resting my back a bit, and Harrison was pacing up and down, I suppose, going over his lines or whatever, just trying to stay, keep the energy going. So, although, it was spring in England outside and the weather was just warming up, but under those hot lights, it was pretty warm on that set, and we're dressed for up bit gear, So I just casually said, "Is it warm enough for you, Harrison?" And he looked at me and said, "Kid, I'm sweating my balls off."
Classic Harrison Ford.
Oh,
So that kind of broke the ice, and we'd always say hello and nod at each other and that sort of thing. And so, I thought I was only there for maybe 2 weeks, but it turned into 6 months on and off. So towards the end of it, that Harrison and I got on very well.
Very cool. Alan, so would you say that what would you say your favorite Star Wars movie is? I mean, the one that you've been in, or I mean, were you a part of the fandom that, like, when you saw it in 1977 or whatever, you sucked into
No, I'd never seen Star Wars. Obviously I knew about Star Wars, and they would show clips on TV about it, but I didn't go to see it. And but you know, as my favourite Star Wars movie, well, it's got to be Empire Strikes Back. But I'm also quite a big fan of Rogue One. I really like that movie.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, love Rogue One.
All right. So Empire Strikes Back, your favorite movie, is that because you had so many roles in that film? Like how many characters did you get to play? Because you talked about being on Echo Base. We know you were in Cloud City. What kind of roles, like you said that you thought you were gonna be there for 2 weeks and it ended up being almost 6 months?
Yeah.
So what all characters next time when we're done with this interview, I'm gonna go and watch Empire Strikes Back and I'm gonna start looking for you all over the place. So who should I be looking for?
You won't really see me. It's blink and you miss me. But I played off Rebel to begin with, then an X-wing pilot, then a snowtrooper, then a stormtrooper, and then I did some fill-ins as a Bespin guard.
Nice.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Very cool.
Wow.
That's wow. All right. Man, what was those experiences like? Just, I mean, you get to work with you're working with Irving. You were on set when famously I love you, I know you were
Yeah.
there for them. How many times, how many takes was it like, oh, thank goodness he said something clever? Like, what was that like?
Well, it went on forever. Basically because they're pumping smoke and steam onto the set, and those stormtrooper helmets are very difficult to see out of anyway. So we did a couple of rehearsals, and John and I think, given our age at the time, we were so young that what we decided to do was pace out our steps to our. They put markers on the floor for us, to where we were supposed to, start and finish.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see them. You just could not see them through those helmets. So John and I came up with the idea between us that we would pace out our steps so that we knew we would hit our end mark. The start mark was relatively easy because I was placed near Carrie, John was on the other side, fairly near to Harrison, and but to hit your end marks was going to be almost impossible. So we paced it out. And by that way, all you had to do was count your paces, and then you knew you were in mark. But by that, Harrison was right in front of us anyway, so that made it a lot easier too.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. Do you still keep in touch with John? Like,
yeah,
they're
very close. We're very close friends. We had a break. We had a break for several years because life takes over.
Mm-hmm.
But we got back in touch with each other 7 or 8 years ago. And so I said to John, well, look, I said, I don't know if you know anything about this convention scene going on. Mm-hmm. I've done a couple. I said, are you interested in that? He said, yeah, sure. So John and I are what's classed as double signers. So we're always sat next to each other, and we sign the same photograph time and time again. So people usually get John's signature and my signature on each photograph.
Oh, I bet that would be. I mean, I got a nice collection, but I'd love to have that. So I'm coming back.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, I know that I think Alan, yourself, and John, are you both attending the next Echo Base event? I know there's one previously.
Yeah, we will. Well, we're not expecting to be invited again for quite some time because they like to rotate their guests. But we were there together last weekend up in Reddit, and we had a fantastic time.
Awesome.
A long train journey home, but there you go.
Yeah.
But we were there together over that weekend, and we both really enjoyed it.
Awesome. You mentioned it off air, so we'll go with it a little bit. So you mentioned about cons and conventions and that. What's the biggest thing you've noticed between the first convention that you went to the convention literally last week?
Well, the first one I did was in Rochdale,
Yeah.
Rochdale, north of England, and that was enjoyable. It was the first one I did, but it was a Flash Gordon convention, and I Flash Gordon for about blink your eyes and you won't see me. But Sam J. Jones was there,
Yeah.
and we just had it was just a really nice introduction to the world of conventions. It wasn't a particularly big one, but it was. I was being eased in. I've done some huge ones in the UK and Europe since then, but it doesn't take long to learn the ropes, really.
No. Did you attend the Star Wars celebration in London?
What we did, this time last year, wasn't it?
Did you go to the pub there? I think that's where I met you, at the pub.
No, I'll tell you a secret. Well, it's not really a secret. It's probably common knowledge now. But myself and John and a couple of others were pretty miffed that we weren't invited. So our good friend Derek Lyons, who's quite
I know Derek.
Derek.
I know Derek.
He called us all up about a week before, and he said, "I've got an idea. Do you fancy doing a commando raid? There's a pub opposite."
Yeah, that's where I met you, the up north.
Oh, you came along.
Yes, that's where I met you. Who else was there? Oh my God, I brought my lad as well. I've got all my pictures on my phone.
Who else was there?
Goodness. Well, Derek was there, obviously.
David Stone,
yes.
Chris Fun, and a couple of others were there. And we just, we all spoke to each other and said, look, at the end of the day, we'll meet up and we'll have a drink. We'll have a little reunion. We'll have a few beers and we'll just see what transpires. But we filled that pub.
Yeah, it was rammed.
It was like being at a party. It was incredible.
Trying to find the picture of it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally agree. And even my lad said to me, like, because we obviously went to celebration for 3 days, but one of the highlights for him, and he was 13 at the time, obviously he's 14 now, was meeting all the old school actors. I can't remember who it was. I'm sure it might have been Steve. Can't remember who it was. But that's essentially the pub. I don't know if you can quite make it out. There's a good friend of mine, Rob Macaulay and Ryan Payne. But yeah, it was crazy busy in there. You couldn't move, and some of the guests in the pub as well. Even I was mind blown as it was, because we were all saying the same thing. We couldn't understand why you hadn't been invited to Star Wars Celebration. One, because you've been involved from the start pretty much, but two, your local British lads. But yeah, the pub was absolutely chocker. There we go, and that was one of my highlights.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
I would have.
Trevor Butterfield.
Correct. Yeah, absolute legend.
Yeah, as an American, I would have killed to have gotten the opportunity to meet you and John. Like the fact, what you did in Star Wars. Like we won't get. I mean, what's the opportunities I'm going to get to meet you guys? So I think that was a big miss by Reed Pop in Star Wars.
Massively.
So
whatever they were charging at the convention, the pub was free to enter.
Yeah,
right?
John
have to buy a beer or two, but
I'd have bought you guys a plenty.
Even with that, it was one of the first stormtroopers. Was it Steve? But yeah, I was talking to Derek Lyons, and one of the stormtroopers actor, I can't remember his name. His name just escaped me. But yeah, he basically came over and gave James, my son, an autograph for free. And that memory living. And on that weekend as well, I'm not just saying because we've got Alan. We'd met Hayden Christensen, had a photo with him, and Ewan McGregor. We'd met Katie Sackhoff from The Mandalorian, and all he could talk about was the pub with all the old school original trilogy guys and how like more approachable you are. Cause you do really take the time. Now I get that the newer actors now, the stardom and stuff like that, they don't really have the time. I get that. I totally get that. But you guys, you did really go out your way. You were talking about certain things as well that it adds an extra light onto Star Wars itself. Like you mentioned there about Harrison Ford, you've spoken to him just out the blue. It's building a different picture of what people know about Harrison Ford.
Well, Harrison, you can. There's a few schools of thought on Harrison, his personality. I mean, I must say that I got on extremely well with him, and I found him to be not only very witty, but very as well. He actually got me my feature in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, he's in Indiana Jones as well, weren't you, Alan?
Yeah. Well, it was about, I think we finished on Empire in September of '79 and went to an audition for Raiders in about May of 1980. And Roy Button was conducting it, and he just came over and said, "Look, Al," he said, "I'm not going to ask you to do anything for this. The job's yours if you want it. We're filming at Elstree again. It's about a month's work. Harrison's got the lead part, but that's all I can tell you. But we'll be in touch." And so turned up on at Elstree. I've been working a series of nights on a police television production.
Yeah.
So I got to the studios because I was filming in North London, and which is not far from Elstree. And I got there very early, but very tired because I hadn't slept at all for about 3 nights. So, I went into the studio early, bumped into Harrison in the corridor, and, we had a quick chat, and he went off to his dressing room to get changed. They dressed me up as a German soldier. Next thing I know, I'm on the set thinking, well, they call you at 6 a.m. They're not going to get to you until 2 p.m. in the afternoon. That's learned that much working on set. So I found somewhere comfortable to bed down. I thought I'll get a few hours sleep, So Roy Button has come over to me and said, "Alan," he said, "wake up, wake up." I said, "What's up, Roy? What's up?" He said, "Steven Spielberg wants to meet you." I said, "Oh, I won't use the expression used," but Roy and myself were, we'd gotten used to each other. But he said, "No, I'm serious. I'm serious." He said, "Steven's asking for someone he can set some shots up with." And Harrison said, "Oh, I saw the kid earlier today. What's his name? Alan. And he's on set. He'll be good. He'll be good."
Nice.
So
wow.
Spielberg, and I then spent a week in front of the camera while making small talk with Spielberg while he set up, shots. Take me through the storyboard, which I'd never seen a storyboard before, but that was up on the wall. And he said, "So these are the shots we're doing, blah, blah, blah. This is you. You'll be doing this. You'll be doing that." And so it was, thank God I'd been a year in the business. Otherwise, I don't know if I handled it. And I was 21 by the time.
Nice. Awesome.
People say, how did it feel at 20? I said, well, Steven Spielberg was obviously well known, but he wasn't the legend that he is today. And
Not yet.
All I can say is that, if a 21-year-old fledgling actor got the chance to work with Spielberg today, I wouldn't want to be in that kid's shoes. I mean, I would, because, Spielberg, again, is a really thoroughly nice man.
Yeah.
Very friendly. But the thing is, now he's the legend. It would be like me, I don't know, trying to think of some big old time directors from the 1930s, 1940s. It would be like me at that time being asked to work with one of them, and it would have freaked me out.
Yeah, that's wicked. So obviously you spoke about Spielberg, getting on with him to a degree, obviously. Harrison Ford as well. Was there any other members who you've worked with or you came across on Empire Strikes Back that really stood out to you? What was Carrie Fisher like, or Mark Hamill as well?
Oh, Carrie was a sweetheart. I had a crush on her. Yeah. She was 2 years older than me.
Who didn't?
Yeah, even I do.
But Carrie's sense of fun is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, she would see the comedy in everything. And being a similar age to each other, we kind of gelled. We just got on really, really well. And whatever hopes of being swept off my feet by a film star were dashed when she introduced me to her boyfriend, who was Simon Paul Simon of Simon and Garfunkel. You know, and that was a massive moment for me. I had to speak to her a while afterwards, and he made a fleeting visit, and I had to say, Carrie, I said, do you realise? I said, I grew up with that man's music. She said, me too, me too. I said, no, but being a boy from London, you know, because she was a child of Hollywood, she was used to that. She was used to meeting all of these people. And given, you know, who her mum was, she grew up with famous names all around her. I didn't. You know, I'm a working class boy from South London. I just said to her, I said, Carrie, you don't know how that's blown me away. You know?
Oh, wicked. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
we always love hearing all these like cool little stories as well from the set, how actors are engaging with each other. Is there any more funny stories, any good stories you've got from Empire Strikes Back? I know we've got a few that we've heard of.
Well, there were so many. I mean, you know, we were only kids. That's all I can say. Rick. The majority of us that were picked out to be stormtroopers, we were only, you know, Chris Parsons was only 18. John Mogridge was 9. He had his 20th birthday on set. I was 20. You know, we were all youngsters, and you know, although we worked long hours, it was very tiring. We would try and sleep as often as we could on set. Which is a funny story about that. We would take most of our armor off as stormtroopers, and we had leotards on underneath, and we'd find, you know, you'd put a backpack or something under your head to just drift off to sleep. But there was one occasion where one of the chaps was, I can't remember who it was now. Probably, if I could, I wouldn't mention his name because it might embarrass him. But you've got all these chains and pulleys and ropes hanging down from the ceiling. And one particular guy was snoring very loudly. And we decided that we would hoist him into the air. So we were being very careful and diligent to wrap these chains and ropes in him, you know. And got a pulley. We lifted him about 4 feet into the air before he woke up. And then it was like all the expletives, you know. We were just in hysterics. We didn't drop him down with a bump. We lowered him carefully down so he wouldn't get hurt. But, you know, we'd do stuff like that on set. We were, you know, we were just playful kids, really.
Wicked.
Oh, that's so fun. Well, speaking of your costumes and the stormtrooper outfits, which I guess you did a few different outfits, but what was the most uncomfortable for you? Which one did you hate to put on?
Stormtrooper, without a doubt. You know,
After that,
you go bruises with a stuff into you. And my outfit, well, someone told me, I don't know how true it is, but the helmet that I wore is stored away somewhere, you know, in a desert somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
If it came for auction, it will probably fetch about $200,000. But the rest of my outfit, it was being held together by gaffer tape in the end. You know, that black duct tape, you want to call it, because with all the running and jumping about, and we used to sit down in. My outfit was just hanging off me in the
air. I can imagine. Well, out of your, I guess, what you had like 5 Star Wars role, give or take, which was your favorite one to play? Not including the painful outfits. Which was your favorite character to play?
Well, Stormtrooper was my favorite character to play, but the Bespin Guard was the most comfortable.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, given that time, 1979, it was towards the end of punk rock. The new wave, was coming in with music, and it was all sort of, fluffy and flowery and, big hairstyles for men and everything else. But the Bespin Guard, if I'd have gone out to Camden Palace wearing that, it was a big nightclub place in Camden, and which I used to frequent. But I thought to myself, if I pitched up here one Saturday night dressed as a Bespin, they wouldn't know who I was. They wouldn't know what a Bespin Guard was, but they would. I can just imagine the reaction would be, that is so cool. It's like, where have you found this? Did you have this made? I can just imagine the questions, because it would have blown people away.
Oh, nice. I've actually kind of been wondering this. So we've heard that there was a scene at Echo Base with like wampas in a cave and stormtroopers were being like attacked. Yeah. Were you a part of that? And then it got removed from the film or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I kind of was. The snowtrooper scenes were shot over a period of 2 or 3 days. And so my part in that was basically to run past the big gun that had been placed, and that was coincidentally designed and built by a friend of mine that has just recently passed away. Very, very sad and tragic. Bill Hargreaves actually designed and built it, and he literally passed away a month ago. But we all had to run past it, following behind Darth Vader, and you could not. That outfit wasn't as uncomfortable as a stormtrooper, but you could not see out of the helmet. You just could not see. And we had lots of mishaps. The biggest
just
one,
running blind.
Oh yeah, we did. I mean, someone stepped on Dave Prowse's cloak as Darth Vader and almost garroted him. A bunch of the others were all running too closely together and to each other. And then the most, well, I've got a photograph of it now, luckily, which I signed at conventions. And a squib, we call it a minor explosive, went off. I don't know if it was an accident or what, but the guy in front of me, it kind of freaked him out, and he's kind of gone off course, and we've all bumped into him. Next thing I know, I'm going through a polystyrene wall, and I end up on the floor, and I kind of looked up, I could barely see. I knew it was John Mogridge was teetering over me, and I'm just thinking, please don't fall on me, John. Please don't fall on me. He managed to keep his balance and stay upright, but no, I was on the floor, on my side. So they picked me up, and we did it again. But that was part of the deleted thing. But we've got photographs. Luckily, on that film, there were so many photographers there just capturing moments that I've actually got a photograph of it, which I'm very proud of. And I signed it at conventions.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Well, now I think we know why it was removed from the movie, because the stormtroopers are all falling all over each other. You know what? I've heard that you have a book. Tell us about that.
A what?
A book?
Oh, a book. Yeah, I've written the first draft, and now I'm not sure what to do about it. I mean, I go back to it every now and again. It was cathartic for me. It was something that I had to get down on paper, and the reasoning behind it, it's not about the making of The Empire Strikes Back at all. It's about us guys, the small guys, the guys that were background. And, you look at like John and I, we met on the set, or we met in the dressing room, and we started to see each other socially. The Garfield brothers, their family and my family were pretty good friends. and we would see each other socially. And Peter Ross, I knew him before I knew the Garfield brothers and Peter Ross before the film. Kelly Garfield was already in the business, but only just. His dad was a small part actor and stuntman, and since the 1960s or late 1950s. And so he entered the business, and then he subsequently helped myself and Peter Ross get into the business. And so we all knew each other socially. And it's about, the book starts in September 78 to give you a background of, what life was like in London in those days. And it finishes in September 79 when I finished my work on Empire. And so it just covers a year, a 12-month period.
Nice.
But it's about the small guys. It's not about, there are some stories in there about Carrie and Harrison and Mark Hamill, but it focuses on, and this is what a lot of people haven't understood. They think it's about the making of The Empire Strikes Back. No, it's not. It's about the small guys, the bit part actors, the background artists.
Yeah.
And it gives you like a snapshot of a bunch of kids that get into one of the biggest films ever made. In fact, in a lot of people's opinion, it is the biggest film ever made. But it just gives you that snapshot of what was going on. And, I wrote it warts and all, not protecting anybody and not really praising anybody up. And then once I finished it, I read through it again and thought, I don't know. There's certain things I've got to cut out. Not everybody got on well with each other. And I've kind of left it there. And then it's the thought of, it needs a re-edit. It needs another draft. But it's who's going to publish it? And people have said to me, self-publish. Well, I won't self-publish. My younger brother was a published author. And the first book that he ever wrote, he self-published. And he said, Alan, don't ever do that. He got his money back. He said, but no, all the strings attached with it, don't ever do that. So, he said, if you can't find a legitimate publisher, don't even contemplate it. In the end, I mean, he died 4 years ago. In the end, all of his stuff was being published on Amazon. And but that's always stuck with me. People said, "Oh, self-publish, crowdfund, this, that." No. Unless I can get a legitimate publisher to publish it, then I'm not. And so there you are. But yeah, it's still sitting there, and I don't know. Maybe I'll take another stab at it. We'll see.
Well, if you ever do, let us know, because I know we would love to read it, and our listeners would love to read it too, because we want to hear about the little guys, the underdogs, the ones that everyone forgot about, right? I would love that.
Yeah.
Well,
that would be a huge hit.
My opening stuff there. There really is some eye-opening stuff.
100%, Alan. Even some of the stories you said now, if anything like that's in that book, again, just let us know. We'll help you promote it on our podcast and stuff like that, mate.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But like, as I said, Joe, really, I need I haven't contacted any publishers, and I should do, really, just to say, look, this is it. Do you want to read it? Because at my age now, I don't chase after people. I'm a retired old man in his 60s, and I've done all my chasing after people when I was a youngster. I've done all of that sucking up to people. I've done it. I'm not interested now, and it's like, so even if it was Simon and Schuster, if they, I'd just say, look, read it, give me feedback if you want, but it's up to you. Otherwise, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. If any publishers are listening,
you put that out.
You contact Alan.
I'm sure it would be big in the States. I'm absolutely sure it would go down a bomb in the States.
Yeah.
Get that out and get it ready for Japan celebration or something like that. Coincide. But
we've been talking to each other about, because we haven't been invited to celebration in Japan, and but a few of us have been talking, and uh, I haven't made a decision yet. But I know a couple might actually go out there and do a commando raid on
Let us
Celebration.
know.
Do it, Alan. Let us know. We'll promote you.
Well, it's to be
Yeah,
final. I know there's a couple of chaps that seriously, want to do it. I mean, I, so far, my attitude on it is, I've said to the others, I said, look, it's a long way to go and it's very expensive. I don't want to take a chance on it. If a promoter out there said, look, flight paid, hotel paid, I'll get you out there, then that's fine. That's different. But I'm not going to self-fund it.
That's fair. That's tough. That's a long way
It
to go
is.
for everybody. All
It is.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
Alan.
we're all trying to plan it out right now.
That book sounds amazing. I mean, a documentary, a book with you guys, and it would be phenomenal.
Oh, so
What
good.
you've been part of Star Wars since filming that movie. What has been your favorite part of is it filming? Is it everything you get to do afterwards? Is it get to do commando raids? Like, what has been your favorite part of Star Wars and being part of it?
I would say initially, because it was my first film, I'd never been on a film set before, and learning the etiquette of how to perform. I mean, if you've got half a brain, you'll soon pick it up. But I had a really great conversation with Billy D. Williams.
Oh,
We were dressed as Ben. And we were sat on the set in directors' chairs. They didn't need us for a while, and we just sat there chatting away. And of course, I was asking him about his life in Hollywood and, being an actor in the States. And he was quite happy to share that information with me. And it was like any advice and tips to give me. And basically, it's like I think anyone would say to anyone is be yourself, and just watch the P's and Q's, really. It's like, respect your elders. It's like, a good friend of mine here, an English actor called Craig Fairbrass, he did a big TV series here with Helen Mirren. And he asked her the same thing. And she said, Craig, just be yourself. Just be yourself. You're working. You picked this job up. You're working. So just be yourself. You must be doing something right.
That's the best advice.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Alan, would like to thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, time's against us. As always, we'd love to have you on in the future. If there's anything we can do for you guys, again, the Commando Raid guys, your book that you publish, anything like that, feel free to whack it on our podcast group on our Facebook or Instagram. I'll send you the link and all that good stuff, and I'll get you in the group as well. There's a couple of other guys in there you might recognise, like Ross Sandbridge. He's in there. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. We super appreciate your time, Alan. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Alan.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's nice to meet you all. I know I met you before, but I meet so many people that it's it's difficult to keep up sometimes. But really,
no worries.
more power to your elbow, as we say.
Yeah, 100%. I managed to find Steve on that photo. I can quite tell.
Lower.
There we go.
There we go. Oh,
cool.
Who's that handsome chap?
Well, that's Chris one, and the other chap must be your son.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thanks again, Alan. Thank you so much for coming on. And as always, we'll keep in touch.
Thank you, Alan. Your stories were amazing.
All the best.
Okay, Explorers, we hope you enjoyed the show. As always, a big thank you to everyone that's joined in. Again, a massive thank you to everyone that's just joined, getting us to that incredible milestone of 500 followers over on Instagram. Please keep sharing the word. Like Jimmy said all the way through the show, there's loads of things coming, even stuff going on at Taylor's Zoo. And I'm going to be doing stuff all around the UK at some point as well. So things are happening. The community is growing. Please stick with us. Okay, help us expand. Again, thank you again. Make sure, if you're not already, Join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. All one word, explore the Force. So, from me then, may the Force be with you.
And from me, for light and life.
And for all of us, we have spoken. See you guys next week.
See ya.